Today, I'm chatting with Jocelyn King, who's the founder and CEO at VirgilHR, which is a SaaS solution that empowers HR professionals to make smart, compliant employment decisions in real time. Jocelyn, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me, Joel.
We're coming up on Thanksgiving, which is one of my favorite holidays, actually. I want to know, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Ooh, I forgot that question that you sent me. Yeah, I skip straight to the dessert and go for pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie is great. I'm a spiral cut ham fan. I'm not so much a turkey fan, and maybe it's just because I've never really had a well cooked turkey. It tends to be a little dry, but the good spiral cut ham is
You really
what I
can't go
love.
wrong.
No, can't go wrong. Well, Jocelyn, I am really excited to have you on. What I love about Virgil HR is that you have a deep background in HR. You're an HR practitioner, HR leadership roles. So I want to know, what inspired you to make that jump from HR leadership to building a product and starting your own business?
It is very different, even though it's all HR related, it's a completely different job, right? And you don't find very many HR tech founders with an HR background. So yes, I've been in HR my whole career, straight out of college, went to work for Target in human resources, and then moved over into the high growth tech world after that. My last couple of roles, I was a VP of HR for the largest tech company on the FTSE. It's a UK-based company. They have about 20,000 employees. And then VP of HR for a Series C education technology company out of the DC area. What I constantly found to be incredibly difficult was tracking and complying with employment and labor laws. So whether it's with this 20,000 person company where we're hiring hundreds of employees across all states pretty quickly, or a smaller company with 100 people, but in 37 states, it's really tough doing them. And so HR is kind of reliant on Google. What are the maternity leave requirements in California? You go down a rabbit hole for 3 hours. There are some legacy providers that offer databases, like content libraries for you to research. Maybe you're talking to a lawyer, but there was nothing automated. And it was really time consuming, or in the case of lawyers, was really expensive. So I sat on the idea for a really long time. And when I was working for this Series C company, I told the co-founders my idea that I had, and they encouraged me to quit my job. They were one of my first investors, and that gave me the opportunity to do that about 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think it's something that I would love to see more in the space. I know a lot of HR leaders clamor for it as well. HR products and technology and systems built by actual HR professionals with an HR background. So it's great that you made that leap and you're doing what you're doing at Virgil HR.
I'll be honest, if I hadn't been working for technology companies, I probably would have never done it. As you continue to grow in your career, you have an opportunity to work really closely with leaders of different departments within a company. So you get to have a pretty profound understanding for the way that performance management and talent development is handled in product and in engineering and in marketing, and you understand the metrics. And it gives you a really good idea of the way that a business should be run in the tech sector. Without that experience, I probably wouldn't have done this.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So Virgil HR produces a lot of great content around best practices. There was a recent article that touched on sustainability and CSR that I thought was really interesting. Can you talk about why that's an important focus for companies and what HR's role can be to support sustainability practices and CSR in organizations?
So where HR plays a role depends on the professional and the needs of the business, of course. If you're at a larger organization, corporate social responsibility is probably going to be something that's on the menu, so to speak, whereas at a smaller one, you might be more focused on specifically those core compliance requirements like wage and hour that you have to meet, just because it's a little different company to company. HR it's a really tough profession to be in because more often than not, the different initiatives that you take on in human resources, compliance or non-compliance related, you're generally going to have to get buy-in from other leaders in your organization, in particular your CEO. So when we talk about like corporate social responsibility, for example, sure, that's something HR can spearhead, maybe as like a committee leader or something like that, but you really do need to get buy-in from the rest of the leadership team as well. And then that needs to trickle down into the rest of the workforce too. I've seen so often, HR tries to push forward these different initiatives again, compliance related or not. And it's near impossible if you don't have influence in your organization. And so I always tell people, like, one of the most important things that you can do as an HR professional isn't even necessarily putting all of these best practices in place yet. The very first thing that you need to do is work on your relationships with other leaders in the organization, and also ensuring that you're building trust across the organization as well, because if you don't have that influence, you're not going to get anything done.
That is such a good point, and it's something that I heard a lot at conferences this year is HR leaders needing to work on developing that influence within the organization, build relationships, don't just be an order taker, but provide guidance to the organization and help it move forward, not just with a short-term focus, but a long-term focus for the health of the company and the employees, to really be that strategic lever that HR needs to be to have a healthy, functioning organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's quite a bit of work getting there, but that's your number one job in human resources, I believe, is building that trust and building those relationships, because that's how you get the rest of it accomplished.